Hey there, everybody. I hope you are all doing well. Today is episode 6 of Empowering. Um, I do this every time, don't I? This is a horsewoman's journey to empowerment, episode 6. And today's episode is overcoming fear of falling. We're going to cover this in kind of 3 different ways. And hopefully by the end of this 30 minutes, you're going to have some powerful tools to be able to start using to help you if you're one of those people who has a fear of falling and or a fear of getting hurt. I am no stranger to that fear. I have had some pretty serious accidents with my trusty steed, rest in peace, RC. And I have learned how to overcome fear and PTSD. And I continue to even fine-tune that more, and I teach that a lot. I actually even teach a workshop, a clinic called Finding Our Way Back After Trauma. So the first thing that I want to address is what I'm going to share with you today is how I approach horsemanship, which is a holistic approach. And what do I mean by a holistic approach? Holistic means all inclusive. So it's the body, the mind, the emotions, and the spirit. The spirit is that essence within me that is attracted to the essence within you, or the essence in your horse that you are attracted to. Our spirit is what makes each one of us uniquely individual. Okay, it's nothing to do with religion at all. But this is a holistic approach today. And so the first thing that I want to talk about is the physical part of overcoming the fear of falling off. So if you have seen somebody fall off and get really hurt, or you have fallen off and gotten really hurt, or maybe you fell off and just got really scared, that lives within us until we find the way to address it and work through it and stop letting it control us. The reason we want to do that is if we're afraid every time we get near our horse, hi there, Margot, every time we get ready to get near our horse, saddle him up, get ready to ride him, and we're afraid, we start taking short, shallow breaths. We make him be completely unaware of it, but I guarantee you it's happening. And because our horses are sensory awareness masters, they can sense us taking short, shallow breaths, which puts us in our sympathetic nervous system. I've talked about the autonomic nervous system before. I'm not going to go deep into it today, but it triggers that within us, which triggers it within our horse. And then our horse starts getting uncomfortable because they can tell we're nervous. So that's the physical response. So how can we help ourselves and our horses get over the fear of falling? Because if we have a fear of getting hurt, our horses are feeling the same kind of fear, but they don't understand it. They just feel that coming from us. So here's some things that you can do physically to set you and your horse up for success. One of the things that we all need to master is our balance within the saddle. And that takes practice. And so many of us are putting weight in the balls of our feet and we're tense in our lower back, and we're taking short, shallow breaths while we're riding, and we may not even know it. I would say 90% of the women that are in my Unbridled Freedom program do not know that they have tension in their body when they're on their horses. But their horses know, because if a horse can feel a fly in the middle of their back, I guarantee you they can feel the tension in your body. So learn to have a balanced seat. Easier said than done, right? Kind of. You can learn to master that by riding in the round pen with your horse. I love practicing in round pens when I'm working on helping a horse overcome something, or I'm trying to overcome something, because there's many reasons. But circles are actually comforting for both horse and human. There's no corners for the horse to get stuck in or for our mind to get stuck in. Circles have no end and no beginning. So it is really scientifically proven comforting for horses and humans. We live on a planet that is circular, that rotates. Horses migrate in circle rotation patterns. We live by the clock. We live by the seasons. So working in the round pen is a nice, safe place because your horse really cannot take off on you. And it's a great opportunity at a walk if you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, get somebody to spot you. Hook a lead, put a halter, keep a halter on your horse. Have them have the lead rope, someone you trust, and walk in circles and pay attention. Is there tension in your lower back? Can you loosen up your lower back? Can you feel your horse's hips rising and falling? Your hips should be doing the same thing your horse's hips are doing. And if they are not, it's because you have weight in the balls of your feet and tension in the small of your back. Now, if you have weight in the balls of your feet and tension in your back, you are already setting yourself up to come out of that saddle. If your horse spooks to the left, you're going to fall out on the right. If your horse spooks forward and starts to take off, you're going to fall back because you're not what we call deep in the seat. Or you'll hear cowboys say, I say it to my students all the time, get deep in your back pockets. Because in order to get deep in your back pockets, I'm going to show you. See if you can see me. In order to get deep, okay, here is, okay, see my hips moving? Here is a rigid back. See that? I'm going to go deep in my pockets. Watch my pocket. How do I do that? I relaxed my lower back, which rocked my pelvis forward and got my pockets deep in the seat. So learn to ride with a balanced seat. And if you have somebody who will walk your horse around on a lead rope, if you're too uncomfortable to do it on your own, and work on just relaxing and getting soft. Now, you don't want to get lazy like a drunken cowboy. You want to be soft and you want to be straight in your sternum, but soft in your lower back. And you want to feel your horse's hips rise and fall. He should be rising and falling your hips if you're relaxed. Then you can put your hands out like you're flying. And can you find your balance? Make sure you're not too forward, not too far back, no pressure in the balls of your feet. Have the person turn you around, or I do passenger riding with myself and my students in the round pen where they're not allowed to touch the reins. And they encourage their horse to go wherever their horse wants to go. And if they're relaxed and soft in their back, their lower back, they will learn to have what we call a sticky seat. So that's one thing you can do physically to prepare yourself in the event that your horse spooks or something happens. You can have the confidence that you can sit in the saddle no matter what. The other thing that you can do, and let's go back to that playing in the round pen. I will play with all of my horses because I want to know what each one of my green horses or horse I'm riding, if they're in my lineup, I want to know, what do they do when they spook? I have one who tucks his tail and runs forward until I gather him up. I have one who spooks really exaggerated to the left or to the right. And then I have one who spooks to the left and then she turns and faces it. So I need to know how my horse spooks and how quickly do they collect themselves, or how quickly can we get a fill on those reins, bend their nose to face what they spooked from. Now I know this is about the fear of falling off, right? So we need to keep you in the saddle so you can be there for your horse to teach them, don't spook and leave, spook and turn and face it. I teach all my babies, when they get scared, turn and face it. What is it? Sometimes we'll even go up to explore it. So, know how your horse spooks. Have a balanced seat. Groundwork is the best way, the best place to start for getting to know how your horse handles you responding to whatever they may be jumping around from, right? Because I doubt that you're just falling out of the saddle when you're walking or trotting or cantering. If you are, comment below and we need to talk about getting a horsemanship mentor. I'm making, I don't want to say assumption, but I'm thinking that everybody here probably knows how to stay in the saddle. It's just, if they spook or they take off, what do we do? How do we learn to feel comfortably balanced and secure in the saddle, regardless of what the horse is doing? That's kind of what we're addressing here today. It starts on the ground. Everything I do and everything I teach is taught on the ground first, because every horse that knows how to carry a rider was started on the ground. They didn't just automatically turn 2.5, 3, 4, however old the horses are that people start. I don't start mine until they're 4. They didn't just get turned 4, plop a saddle on, and they knew what to do. They started on the ground, teaching them to have a soft bend in their neck when you pull on the lead rope. Do they give to pressure? And do they do it willingly and softly? Do they go left and right with their neck and their head? Can you move their shoulder and their neck and their head to the left, and can you move it to the right? Or do they push against you? We need to get them soft on the ground. Do they softly back up when requested? When we take that lead rope and go towards that part of us, that area on their back, when we're sitting in the saddle from the ground and we bend that rope to that spot, do they move their hindquarters softly and supplely? Or do they just stand there with their head cocked like this? Because if your horse is not soft and responsive on the ground, I guarantee you they will not be soft and supple in the saddle when you get up there and you're a little bit worried, or they get a little bit worried. So it always starts on the ground. Play with your horse doing circles, doing lateral bends, doing backups, moving those hindquarters. Get out a stick with a garbage bag on it and wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Have that be at the end of that 10, I use 12-foot lead ropes. Be at the end of your lead rope and wiggle that bag. Does your horse go back? Do they go left, right? Do they want to run? Play with that on the ground. You're doing a few different things. I don't desensitize my horses to the point where they endure stuff all over them. I don't subscribe to that way of thinking. But what I do is I teach them that if something startles you, move to the safe space and then turn and face it. And that starts on the ground. So that is another physical thing to play with. And then when you get in the saddle, I teach all my students, all the horses I start, and all of them in my own personal lineup. I do my safety check when I get in the saddle. I don't care how many times I've ridden that horse. I get in the saddle. I want them to stand when I get in. When I settle into the saddle, I want them to stand and wait for me to say what we're going to do next. I do not want a horse that walks off when I get on or once I sit down. I will then bend their nose left and bend their nose right. And how soft are they? And if I bend their nose and release that rein, can they hold their nose there or do they pull it right back? If they pull it right back, they're not soft in the mind. They may be giving you physically, but they're not giving you mentally. And if you don't have a horse's mind, you don't have their body. That's why we do the safety check. So I bend them left and bend them. This is messed up looking in the camera. Bend them left and bend them right. Then I move their hindquarters to the left and move their hindquarters to the right. And do they do it soft and willingly? And if they don't, we don't go anywhere. I am not riding a horse that I don't have a mind. Because I know that if I don't have that horse's mind at a standstill, once I put them in motion, which activates the emotions of the horse, I'm certainly not going to have my horse, and I am not hedging my bets in the right direction to not fall. So, safety check. And within that safety check, I will take 4 steps forward, stop, pause, and then 4 to 6 steps backwards. I never stop my horse. And the reason I don't stop my horse is because, remember, this is a holistic approach. I want to know I have my horse physically, mentally, emotionally, and we have our heart and soul spiritual connection. That's where that trust really resides, is in that spiritual part. So if I just stop my horse, he could still be mentally thinking about that trail that looks like it's endless in front of us, or to get on the trail, or to get to where we're going. If I pause and go into a backup, my horse has to receive the message through their body into their brain, and then tell their body to move backwards. Backwards takes the horse's mind from wherever it's at and has to check in to tell the body to back up. Horses are most reluctant to back up because in herd dynamics and horse psychology, the one who backs up is not the leader. That's for another day, but I want you to understand why I never stop my horse, and I don't teach my students to stop them either. I will stop and take 1 or 2 steps back, and I'm always counting just the front feet. You don't have to go back very far, but if they don't want to give you that backup, then I'll make them do until they soften up. So those are the things that you can do physically. And now we've talked to how you can do things physically. Everything that we've been doing here physically is not only talking to the horse's body, but it's talking to the horse's mind. And when we can get the horse's mind coming along with us, we've got them coming along emotionally, kind of. I learned this a while ago, and I've been really applying it into my program and into developing myself and my horses. When we have things going good on the ground, at a walk, in the ground or in the saddle, we have it going good at a walk. The test is when we add speed. Because when we add speed, we awaken their emotions. Gonna race, gonna go, I'm insecure, I'm not comfortable, why are you worried? We awaken the emotions. And when we awaken the emotions, that's when things can kind of feel like they're falling apart. And I just want you to be aware of that. I'd love for you to play with that with your horses and notice, my horse is doing great at a walk, and then when I ask him to go to trot, everything gets all like they're trying to take off on me, or we were going a straight line and now they're going all over the place. Because not only does it awaken your horse's emotions, it awakens ours too. We're going faster. Are we going to fall off? Are they going to take off? This is awesome. All of that is our emotions. So when I talk about the holistic approach, I'm not just talking about our horses. I'm talking about us, because remember, unbridled freedom is about deepening the relationship to create the strongest partnership we can have. So it's not just about the horse. It's never just about the horse. So now the third component is our mind and our thoughts. And our mind is a powerful, powerful thing. And it likes to have a job. And so if we aren't physically thinking about making that shopping list or sewing those gloves or tightening that bridle, if we're just kind of idle, driving down the road or walking down the trail, our mind will start running things through it. And if we have fallen and we're afraid of falling, we start thinking about that on the way to the barn. Guarantee it. We may not be aware of it, but we do. So how do we interrupt that pattern? Because the mind starts thinking about the fall that happened, that we saw or experienced. And what if we fall today or the next time we get in the saddle? And then the mind, well, I'll get hurt. And what if I get hurt really bad? I won't be able to work. I won't be able to take care of the horses. I won't be able to da-da-da. And do you feel my energy going up? So I want to just take a minute and have you think of falling. Either the time you fell or what if, right? The what if can be pretty powerful. So just take a minute and think about, close your eyes and think about the time you fell or what if you fall. Notice what happens to your breathing. Notice what happens to do you tense up? Do you see it happening in your mind's eye as if you're riding the horse? The mind is so powerful. That's why movies are such big hits, because we feel like we're in the movie. How many of us have ridden Black Beauty down that ocean, down that beach, full speed? Yep, we've done it, right? That's how powerful the mind is. So when we think about that fall, we feel it in our body. And when we get on our horse and we're thinking about it, they feel it. So here's a couple things. If you have taken that ride and you have fallen, I would like to have you for the next 5 days, right before you drift off to sleep. Instead of riding the ride that happened and you fell off and scared the shit out of yourself and got hurt, or the ride that might happen because you saw Sally have a wreck that could happen to you, I want you to, instead of running that through your mind, I want you to lay in bed and ride the ride. You're riding down the trail, whatever happened to make you come off, it happens. But because you've practiced all these things about a balanced seat, you might slip and you catch yourself and you straighten it out and you guys go trotting off and you're giggling and you're so proud of yourself that you didn't fall off. Ride that ride in your mind for 5 solid nights. What we're doing is we're interrupting the pattern and we're laying down a new pattern. We're just like horses. All we have to do is interrupt the undesirable pattern and show our mind what the pattern is we want to do. Now, don't not do this because you're riding a horse and you're expecting him to do the things you ask him to do, whether he wants to do it or not. We hope they want to, but maybe they don't. We're expecting them to do that. So don't you be that kind of a leader and a partner to your horse. Don't ask your horse to do something you're not willing to do yourself. That is a golden rule with me. I will not ask my horses to do something I am not willing to do myself. And I will not ask my clients to do anything I am not willing to do myself. That is a leader worthy of trusting. You are your horse's leader. So we have a few more minutes here. The next thing that I want to do is I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, settle back in your seat, take some nice deep belly breaths. When I say belly breaths, that's 3 inches below your belly button and back towards your spine. Breathing deep into your belly and breathing out any tension through the soles of your feet. I find that when I breathe out loud like that, it helps me to relax even more. Now I want you to breathe deep into your belly and imagine that you're sitting down there in that pelvic bowl, that power center, that space that keeps us grounded, secure, present, confident. And then breathe up into your heart space. Imagine that you have a cylinder tube that goes through the top of the center of your head and out through your sits bones down into the earth. That's a grounding rod. And it goes through all of your chakras or your power centers. So when we breathe into our power center, which is our gut, 3 inches below our belly button, and we allow it to connect to our heart space through our breath. And with our awareness on our heart space and our power center, we're now going to travel up that cylinder tube to our head space, our mind, where the wisdom resides when the mind is quiet. And we're going to connect all 3. This puts us in the present moment, and this is very grounding for us. If we can get in the habit of doing this on our horses, you will actually feel your horse relax beneath you. So if either one of you starts to get tight and worried and start taking short, shallow breaths, if you practice this breathing into what we call our vertical core, our grounding rod, our gut, our power center, our heart space, which is our intuition, and that where we connect to our horses through their heart, and our head space where the wisdom resides when the mind stops chattering. If you can learn to practice breathing into this space and then ride the ride I told you to ride, that's how you overcome your fear of falling. It's not just learning to have a relaxed, balanced seat. It's not just learning to get your horse to be soft and supple so you can bend them to a stop. You can lightly ask them to slow down. You can bend them. You can move their hindquarters. It's not just that. It's those two. But the power, the one that is going to help you truly overcome your fear of falling, is the mind interrupting the pattern that's looping over and over and over, telling the story about how you fell and got hurt, how I lost my finger, over and over. It scares the shit out of you, which then scares and bothers your horse. The mind, you interrupt the loop and you give it a true successful ending where you ride the ride the way you want to ride it. People will say, well, that's just your imagination. Well, holy crap, everybody, that's where it starts. All right? You haven't fallen off your horse, I hope, 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 times or 1,000 times, but you've looped it through your mind that many times, and your mind doesn't know it's not happening now. That's why we get lost in a good book. That's why we get lost in a good movie. Create a new story. Ride the ride the way you want to ride it. Every night, get into your vertical core through your breath. Our breath is the most powerful tool we will ever possess. But if we don't know how to mindfully breathe, we will not calm our nervous system, we will not calm our mind, and we will not calm our horses. So how do you overcome fear of falling? Physically, learn to have a comfortable, balanced, relaxed seat so when your horse moves, you move with them. Learn to get your horse, hi Victoria, get your horse to be soft and supple in the head and in the hindquarters. Get them happy to back up so that their mind stops and comes back to you. And get your mind under control through breathing and telling the story in a way that you successfully ride the ride. I've gone over here and I'm going to say one more thing. This visual technique that I've given you, and this video will be here, you should be able to access it anytime. This technique that I have given you is scientifically proven. Professional athletes do it all the time. Motivational speakers do it all the time. They ride the ride 100 times over successfully because every time we ride it in our mind, we feel it in our body and we are reacting in our body the way that we need to react to successfully ride the ride, which is laying down muscle memory. This is proven. It was first tried out with a football team. I'm not even going to pretend to know which one it was, but it's one of our football teams years ago. A coach stumbled onto this and did it for the whole team for an entire season, and they went to the Super Bowl. All right, everybody. I would love to hear your comments in the comment section. This works. I think that I have given you 3 very, very powerful ways. If you combine them all together, you will begin to overcome your fear of falling. I appreciate you all for watching, for being a part of Unbridled Freedom's group here. And we will be back next Thursday for communicating effectively with your horse. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear what you learned about this. Also, please, if you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to post them here or get in touch with me. And Brooke says, much needed and perfect timing after a recent fall. Thanks for the major help getting my mojo back. Oh, Brooke, you're very welcome. And if you need more, if you want to know more about it, please reach out to me. Share with the group your successes. And Victoria, I have epileptic seizures daily and electrical storms in my brainstem, which are other medical conditions on top here in UK. And love your soothing voice, which I could see you. Your horses. Thank you, Victoria. And I am glad you're here. And you know, I'm not a doctor and I don't know much about seizures, but I do know the power of our breath. And if you want to practice that vertical core breathing, beginning with 3 inches below your belly button, imagine a tube that goes from the center of your head all the way out through your sits bones into Mother Earth. And you breathe. That's how you connect your gut, your power center, with your heart space, your intuition, your love and compassion, and your mind space, your head space, which is where our wisdom resides. And when we can breathe and connect all of those together, it literally calms our nervous system. It's proven. That's been proven, that our breath can calm our nervous system. And our brainstem is connected to our nervous system. So give it a try and let me know what you think. All right, everybody. Thank you for attending. And we will see you next week, 4:30. Take care, guys.